Yeah. Welcome back, guys. My name is Wildkard. Yada yada yada. France versus Australia, number one team in the world. The Wallabies, obviously, lost by 1 point to France. This was actually quite depressing. The ending was the Wallabies was doing so well to hang in there to get themselves in front, and yeah, Damien Pennold showed why he's the top scorer in France. Really exposed the defense that Australia always had for quite a while now. But like he really exposed the poor tackling techniques Tom Wright has had pretty much all season. And yeah, he got the ball in the wing, steps Tom Wright, just straight up stepped him. Tom Wright hardly touched him. And then he runs through Jock Campbell trying to make a cover tackle, sweeps across, trying to make a cover tackle, and Pennell just stiff armed him yeah, quite easily, and then just runs straight through. 35 meters, 40 meters for a try. Yeah, and secure the win for France, 30 points, 29. I don't know what else to say. This was a pretty big improvement for the Wallabies, actually. They did play a lot better than they did last week. Much, much better than they did against the Kiwis. In fact, I think this might be the best game the Wallabies played all year. The game was quite nicely controlled. The goal kicking was good. Bernard Foley once again brought the goal kicking. He only missed one, which hit the post, but pretty damn good. Considering he had to kick a couple of these from the sideline, and he got those. Goal kicking was good. The game management overall was quite decent for the Wallabies as well. There was some really good high ball takes by Jock Campbell. He was tested quite a bit this game. Didn't mess up any of the high balls, which was excellent. The Wallabies' attack patterns look quite good as well. A little bit of handling error, but overall I thought it was like much better than against the All Blacks, where there was way too many drop balls. The lineouts is still an issue for the Wallabies. Again, Faenga he seems to not able to get the lineout throw consistency at times. Missed a couple of throws, and the overall tackling is a little bit off as well for the Wallabies. Still definitely improved from like earlier this season, but still I think quite a bit off from international levels. Like if you want to win the Rugby World Cup kind of levels. And overall, I thought the scrummaging the Wallabies won, but Jaco Piper was really reluctant to give away a penalty, so he reset a lot of the scrums. Something we don't see very often in the recent times. The referees pretty much don't reset scrums anymore. They just either give a short kick, short arm penalty to the basically they make a really quick decision, either a short arm or a full arm penalty, and there's no resets. But Jaco Piper was really reluctant to give a penalty and reset the scrums quite a few times. And it was quite. I was quite disappointed because a lot of those scrums clearly looked like to me the French slipped and the Wallabies was putting too much pressure on, especially gem slipper on Antonio Uni, what his name is. So I thought Gem Slipper really had the tight head in a lot of trouble, a lot of the scrums, and he had to go down to collapse the scrum. Essentially, I thought that was penalty all day, but Jaco Piper didn't have the confidence to give the penalty and reset the scrum quite a few times. I thought that was pretty bad from him. Outside of that, the French actually had a pretty quiet game compared to what they do earlier this year, and they keep talking about how this is they haven't played together in 7 months. What about the games in Japan in July? Do you guys not consider that Japan a team? I thought that was pretty bizarre that France didn't really consider the games with Japan a game. Test matches. So they were giving all these stupid excuses like, oh, we haven't played for 7 months. But yeah, despite the fact that they did play against Japan, which was bizarre to say the least, how they use that as an excuse almost. And then, so they had a bit of a quiet game. There was a lot of handling errors from the French team. So the French did look a little bit more threatening when they were attacking due to Wallabies' poor defense at times. But the French were making a lot of their own mistakes, dropping the ball, passing the ball when they should not have been passed, sort of thing. And yeah, really letting the Wallabies off the hook quite a few times because of it. There wasn't, like, Anton Dupont also had a really quiet game. in comparison to his performances in Six Nations, where there was a lot of flair. We saw a lot of attacking options out of Dupont, where he would both do short kick options and also just some like running options by himself. Maybe the Wallabies, marked up the rucks really well. Obviously, they've studied him and rucked up. But yeah, Dupont was not able to do anything that's particularly special this game. In fact, I would say he didn't really do anything special this game. Everything he did was pretty standard for a halfback. A lot of the French flair that we come to, get used to him do, just not there. But I did kind of maybe thought this could be, there wasn't a game, a bit earlier in the game when the Wallabies scored their first try. It was kind of like a Dupont's mistake. Maybe he tried, not really a mistake, but basically the first try, the Wallabies scored. Dupont did like a boss kick into, not even a boss kick, a little chip over the top into the Wallabies 22. And the Wallabies, regathered under a bit of pressure, Foley just shifted to pop the ball out. And then Wallabies counter-attack from inside their own 20, basically 5 meters out from the Australian try line. And they just spread the ball out wide. Tom Wright runs down the sideline, links back up with Jock Campbell, who links up with Fouquetti and ran 95 meters and scored a try. So maybe that was like the warning sign to Dupont to not just randomly kick the ball away. Maybe that's why. But after that, Dupont just didn't kick. Obviously, he did traditional box kicks. He didn't make those spontaneous kick over the tops, little grabber kicks behind sort of things that he normally does. He literally stopped right after this try was scored. So maybe there was a direction from Fabien Gauthier, tell him to not do that anymore. Maybe he recognized it himself, the counter-attacking threat of the Australian team. So yeah, that was like the only kind of risk-taking moment Dupont did for the entire game. After that, he just did all the basic stuff as a halfback. Just get the ball out, pass. Nothing particularly special from Dupont, which was a little bit disappointing because I was looking forward to see some French flair. So the French, like I mentioned, handling was off. The line-out was slightly better than the Wallabies, I would say, but not too much better, just a little bit more clinical. The French forwards did get themselves involved a little bit more than the Wallabies. I felt like they did have a higher work rate. They ran the ball, carried the ball harder, and they defended a little bit better than the Wallabies forwards as well. I've already talked about the scrums and the French backline as well. Despite the handling errors, I did think that the French backline had a really good structure. They had a really nice rhythm in their attack. However, they were not able to break the Australian line cleanly that often due to their own, handling errors, like I mentioned before. So let's quickly go through some of the key stats in the game. 526 run meters, the Wallabies 502. That is really high for Test rugby. Sometimes these stats could be wrong. Halftime, France did 183 meters to the Wallabies 236. The Wallabies had more attacking options. The tackle count at halftime. Let's just go down a bit more. 121 carries to Wallabies 86. 10 turnovers conceded for France. 12 for the Wallabies. In terms of clean breaks, no one had that many clean breaks for either teams, 2 apiece. In terms of defense, France made 92 tackles to 14 missed tackles. At halftime, France only had to make 35 tackles. 6 missed tackles at halftime. Wallabies made 69 tackles at halftime already. 12 missed tackles at halftime. Overall, Wallabies missed 148 to 27 missed tackles. The second half, the Wallabies missed tackle count even higher than the first half at, how many is it? 15 missed tackles. So way too many missed tackles for the Wallabies overall. Something that needs, including the, obviously crucial try that went through. Kicks in play. Like I said, this was a very this was a very textbook style of rugby that was played today. Both teams were very happy. Both teams were very clinical. Not clinical, very very I guess mindful of where the ball is being played. So there was a lot of kicking for territory this game. A lot of bit of chest playing, and Jock Campbell I thought did exceptionally well for the Wallabies, diffusing those high balls and really able to put some of the balls counter kicks back for the Wallabies. One criticism I do have for the Wallabies kicking game, there's a lot of I felt like there was a lack of pressure with some of these return kicks for the Wallabies. Happy to just punt it down the field. Whereas the French attack clearly had a bit more pressure when they returned the kick. So I feel like the Wallabies probably could do a little bit better there in terms of kicking game. And penalty goals, yeah, 2 missed for the French team and 1 for Bernard Foley, which hit the post, which was unfortunate, but still pretty good effort for Foley. And then the lineouts, yeah, this is again, I think 2 out of the 3 lineouts were missed by Faenga. I think there was 1 lineout that was missed in the first half for the Wallabies. Only 1 lineout missed for the French, but yeah, Faenga missed out 2 lineouts, including like just throwing in not straight. Really kind of hurt the Wallabies a little bit. 1 scrum loss for the French team. Like I said, I felt like the Wallabies had the French dominated all night, and the referee reset the scrum quite a few times. Actually helped the French out of troubles a few times. I feel like this could have been a couple more turnovers for the Wallabies, or at least like 1 more, maybe 1 more for the Wallabies at least. If the referee didn't just so happy to reset the scrums. Penalty conceded 10 to France and 11 to the Wallabies. Okay for both teams. There were a lot of penalty goals that was kicked, kickable penalties that was given away. So probably needs to tighten it out a bit if they wanted to. Those penalties were given away in too prime of a real estate to be ideal for both teams. So let's quickly recap on the game. So right off the bat, there was a bit of a both team had opportunities back and forward. So let's just quickly. So for the first 12 minutes, there was 4 penalties being kicked by both teams. So 6 points or 12 minutes into the game, and then France got themselves in the front foot. Around the 15 minutes or so, around 15 minutes or so, the French team, like I said, looked like Dupont tried to do a bit of a tricky chip over the top, try to put some pressure on. Wallabies get the ball. Bernard Foley instead of getting tackled, he pops the ball back. Wallabies decides to counter attack from 5 meters out from their own try line. Just good hands on to the wing. Tom Wright found himself in space, runs all the way to the 50-meter mark down the sideline before he was impeded. Throws the ball in field to Jock Campbell, runs another 10-15 meters, and he throws another pass out to Foketi, who was on the outside, runs in 95-meter running for a try. I was like, oh yeah, I was so happy after this. I had a feeling that the game might be going too well for the Wallabies at this point. Used to losing too much. So I was like, this is probably going to be too well for the Wallabies to score a try. So Wallabies gets on a try on the board. And then after that, just a few minutes later, Wallabies gets another, I think like 20 minutes or so, Wallabies has another chance to kick a penalty where Foley missed. I think hit the post. So that was a bit unfortunate. So on the 29th minute, like I said, the scrums are clearly showing that the Wallabies are getting the advantage. And especially this one, like I mentioned, I put down the notes here on the 29th minute. It clearly looked like the French team clapped the scrum. But the referee just reset the scrum instead of giving Wallabies the penalty. On the 32 minutes into the game, the French team starts to just put a bit of pressure on the Wallabies. Parecki gets caught not rolling away, so French slowly just clawed themselves back 3 points, 9 points to 13. At this point, the scoreboard was looking quite good for the Wallabies, and suddenly the scoreboard is closed down to 4 points. So, and then, as halftime's approaching, I was really hoping that the Wallabies would just, go into halftime without conceding any more points. But sure enough, the French, in the last 10 minutes of the first half, really put the hammer on the Wallabies. 38th minute, Wallabies gets penalised, just repeated penalties. Gives the French team another kickable penalty right in front. And he closes the score to 12 points to 13. With just about a minute left before half time, Wallabies are trying to run like an attack move on the halfway point. Foley throws the ball to nobody. The ball lands on the ground, bounces. Ficou, the French outside centre, scoops up the ball and he kicks the ball forward. And the boat, and then he looked like he got taken out. There was a lot of protesting on the field. But regardless, Andrew Callaway recovers the ball just in front of the Wallabies goalpost. He gets tackled, and the French floods the breakdown, turns the ball over. The Wallabies had players there, but they were not able to. It was a bit of an awkward position because the goalpost is right there. So the Wallabies players couldn't really get a momentum going into the ruck. So they were just kind of like flat-footed going to the ruck because the goalpost was blocking behind them. So the French gets the ball turnover, and Mercond, the hooker, picks up the ball, pumps himself through, and try time. And apparently the French has not gone into halftime behind and score for a long time, for some stupid, basically for a very long time. France hasn't gone into halftime behind, so it didn't look like this was going to be the case. When this was scored, suddenly France pulls himself back up to 19 points to 13 at halftime. Yeah. The last 10 minutes, the Wallabies conceded how many points? 13 points in 10 minutes. Really disappointing. Anyway, so second half starts. 2 minutes into the second half, Wallabies gets himself in a position to kick 3 points. I was pretty happy with the way the Wallabies managed to just come out and put some really decent pressure on, threatening the French, inside the French 22. Gets an opportunity for 3 points and just said, okay, we'll take the 3. Wallabies pops one through, 19 points to 16. 2 minutes later, literally immediately from the kickoff, Wallabies gets penalized for a seatbelt tackle on the French team. Ramos returns the favor, chips the scoreboard back up to 22 points to 16. And on the 54th minute, there was a Wallaby penalty. Wallabies kicked the ball out for an 11-meter out line out. And the Wallabies basically brings the ball down, start building faces. And then there was just like one of those things where you can tell the Wallabies been practicing this. They just build faces. There was a short ball to, I think it was Foley. And then Foley gets the ball, throws a long cut pass to Jock Campbell out wide. Jock Campbell basically was in a bit of space. He runs with speed. He just runs up to, I think it was I think this might be Jaminet or maybe one of the French defenders tackles him, but he had too much momentum going forward, bounces over the try line anyway, scores a try. So this was really, really good. Suddenly the Wallabies pulls himself ahead, 23 points to 22. Foley slots this one. So I was really, really happy. And the Wallabies starting to show that platform that they're building in their attack line, which is starting to look really, really good here. And on the 64th minute, the French team, the 64th minute, so like a few minutes later, Wallabies gets another penalty when the French players was playing the ball on the ground. There was a lot of kicking game at the moment, so there was a lot of very technical stuff, like technical jockeying for its position at the moment, and Wallabies finally gets, managed to kind of win this sort of kicking contest and getting this penalty 40 minutes out. Foley pops this one through, 26 points to 22. On the 67th minute, the French was inside the Wallabies 22, doing a lot of pressure. Dante looked like a decoy runner. He gets tackled. He did this really animated fall onto the ground. And that's going to go on a highlight. That's going on to some highlight soon enough on this channel. So he takes this massive animated dive. Referee gives an advantage. But the French says, okay, we're not going to go for 3. We want to go for the try because they are 4 points behind. They go for a 5-meter line out. They set up a maul. They try to run the ball out with a short ball run. The ball runner gets tackled and he tries to offload, and the guy that was next to him was basically trying to clean out. So he literally hits his own player and loses the ball. So huge mistake there by France. Wallabies gets a free exit here, tries to run the ball out, and then immediately the French team gets caught offside. So yeah, Wallabies gets a free exit, which was really good. A few minutes later, the France gets themselves back into the Wallabies half. Wallabies gives to another penalty. France kicks this one instead of this. Yeah, decides to kick the 3 this time instead of going to the corner again. 25 points to 26 on the 73rd minute of the game. It looked like Foley got taken off because of an injury or something. It looked like he was hurt. So Foley gets taken off, and Reece Hodge gets on the field as 10. So I was a little bit concerned. I was like, Hodgie, when was the last time you played 10? It was been a while. And Hodge hasn't really been in form as well, so I was a little bit worried, especially the goal kicking is quite of an issue. So I was actually really worried for this. And Hodge gets on the field. He does it. He has to do the kickoff because France just kicked 3 points, and he just like completely misses the drop kick, and the ball just like rolls on the ground. Like it was a pretty bad kick, and I was like, really worried. But regardless, the kicks the ball out. Wallabies rushes this ball. Gets the turnover, so he like worked out anyway. Wallabies gets on the offense. France gives away a penalty for a high seatbelt tackle. And this was a 40-meter-out kick on a bit of an angle. I was a bit concerned because we know Hodge can kick goals, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure if he was going to get this one because I knew Foley. I was more confident if this was Foley taking the kick. Let's just say that. But he kicks this one through. So I was like, huge sigh of relief. Because suddenly Wallabies are back up with the 4-point difference. 29 points to 25. So the France has to score a try to win this. And I was feeling quite confident. You know, France is not going to be able to score a try. And then on the 76th minute, the French was attacking. It didn't look like they were going anywhere. Wallabies was looking a little bit tired, going back a bit, but it didn't look like the France was going to break the line anytime soon. What's his name? Dupont gets the ball out, just passes to, I think who was it at 10? I think it was, I think at this point, anyway, passes to his teammates, and then there was just like a huge long cardio pass, almost looked like they didn't know what to do for the French team. They just like throw this long pass out wide to Damien Penaud, who was marked by Tom Wright. So I was like, it didn't look like anything was going to happen out of this. And he just runs up to Tom Wright, and bam! Inside steps Tom Wright. Tom Wright completely misses him. He runs straight through, and then Jock Campbell sweeps across, trying to make the tackle. Stiff arms Campbell, powers himself all the way through, out of nowhere, scores a try. And suddenly, France is back up 30 points to 29. Ramos misses his conversion, which is quite important. But, yeah, Wallabies had about 4 minutes to try to, make him, recoup the loss to get himself back in front. On the 78th minute, the Wallabies gets a line out just inside, around the 40-meter mark or so. Line out not straight. Yeah, Faianga are one of the most important line outs. They need to get straight, not straight. But regardless, the France was running the clock down. Wallabies were able to turn the ball over. The ball popped out aside. The Wallabies were able to turn the ball over. So, nevertheless, Wallabies did have one last chance to potentially get a penalty or something to win the game. They were running the clock, the ball out of their own half. The clock is red. They were running, building pressure. And then the French team was able to force a penalty at the breakdown. Yeah, so Wallabies definitely, that penalty could have gone both ways. If it went for the Wallabies way, Reece Hodge could have potentially kicked this one because it is 50 meters. But yeah, the France gets the penalty call, and that was it. That was the end of the game. France win 30 points to 29. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go take some antidepressant. And thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys tomorrow for England versus versus Argentina. Old mates from Randwick's Randwick Rugby Club here in Sydney. Eddie Jones and Michael Cheika going head to head. Michael Cheika has never been Eddie Jones as a coach. So yeah, the two old mates will go head to head once again, and will be a cracking match. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day. Cheers.